So last time we met, we were talking about copper trees, and we're still working on copper trees.
Yeah, I have mine done, but I feel like it doesn't really look like a tree.
So do you want to show me a picture or no?
Yeah, I can show you a picture.
Okay.
Like here, I'll just turn on the camera. That'd be a lot easier. Mm. Like it, I don't. Can you like see it?
I think it looks like a tree.
It
Um,
like it
Go ahead.
looks like a scary like Halloween tree to me.
So, okay, so what do you think? I think when I look at through your trunk, your first set of branches, um, the bottom ones look kind of thin. So maybe if you combine some of those wires together to make thicker branches starting off, and then you keep the just, boy, see, I keep wanting to point to your screen, but you can't see me pointing to your screen. So looking at the thin ones that come out towards the top, I think I would make thicker branch pieces. So you have a really good, nice wave to your trunk. Tilt it towards me so I can look like down the tree. Yeah, see, and I think some of it is you're still kind of one plane. If you take and leave your trunk straight, but then take that top where it curves up and maybe start to make it spiral a little, and then you can have your branches kind of coming off of it. It's going to take it away from that Halloween look to it. So when you
Okay.
tilt it back, I think you have a really nice shape going in. So let's take and keep this shape, but instead of it just being one plane, let's look at moving that plane. So when you look at it flat, you'll still see this shape, but when you look at it from different angles, this shape changes to this shape. So the core stays, but the top part starts to spiral. And if you tighten up some of those branches and have them coming out from it, think of your bonsai.
Yeah, I like looked up a picture online of the bonsai tree, and that's why I was trying to like do the trunks like it, but the way I started it didn't really.
So, I mean, and if I think I think you're at a great spot. I do. But if it bugs you, I mean, heck, we can always untwist some of the wires, retwist and rebend, and go from there.
Okay.
Cool, cool.
Hmm.
All right. So, are you excited about today?
Super excited.
I knew you would be. So, we're going to start talking, we're going to start looking forward to what we're going to do next. And we're going to use that reusable clay next. I will be at the high school on Friday, and I'm also going to get you guys big cube of foam. And I'm going to get you guys a little box of a paper mache mix. So the paper mache mix, the whole package makes a giant bowl, like giant bowl. So you're going to mix it up in little amounts just for what you need, unless you have a
Okay.
giant bowl that like Tupperware that you can save and mom doesn't mind you putting goo in for a while. Mom or dad, I guess. So the goal is going to be, we're going to do clay busts, foam, and paper mache. Paper mache is going to take us a long time, and it takes us a long time because in between layers, so you can do like 3 or 4 layers of paper mache at once, but then you have to let it sit for a day to dry. And if you put it like out in the garage and it's kind of cool or cold, it's going to take it longer than a day to dry. So we'll talk about humidity and all that. So out of the things, I think the bust will probably take us at least 2 weeks to do, because we're going to try to make these things look cool. I think that foam will take us a solid 5 to 7 days. And then paper mache is like 3 weeks. So if we add all that up, we're done with school.
Okay.
Cool, cool. All
Hmm.
right. So here's what we're going to start with. And I know you're super excited. We are going to share my screen. And are you ready? Do you want to
Hmm.
guess?
Art history.
Art history. Yes. So exciting. So here we have some wonderful Egyptian busts. And we want to talk about a couple of things. One, Egyptian is a death culture, meaning that they were always looking for what's going to happen next. What's their next existence. So when we look at their artwork is very stylized. And the stylized form evolves slightly over time, but for a big chunk of it, it's very locked in until we get to Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And they were the first ones that kind of let artists have freedom. But before that, everything was very, it has to be in a certain manner and order. So, of course, Nefertiti, and I have a Khan Academy that I just put into our Google Classroom, and it talks about her in her display at the British Museum. Very well known. So this is a standard, this is when we say bust, this is what we mean. It is a head, a neck, and just a little bit of shoulders to collarbone. We can also look at King Tut's funeral mask. So this would have been laid over the mummy, but it was a metal work piece. And again, we have shoulders, neck, a little bit more with the decoration, and head. We're not looking at full bodies for these. Oh, who's this? It's Kyle. Hi, Kyle. We're blessed. We're not looking at a full body for this, and that's just because of the amount of clay that we have. So we're gonna keep into this idea that we definitely want to have a neck, we definitely want to have a head, and we want to have a little bit of shoulders, and we want to have enough of a base for this to stand up on. Some of the little things we can look at. So for the Egyptians, we have these beautiful headdresses, and even females who were pharaohs would have the ornamental beard, because Tut was very young when he died. He definitely didn't have a beard that long. So this is an add-on too. So when we're thinking about it, this to me, if this was a flat base, it's going to be pretty stable. One of the things about Egyptians, again, is their artwork is meant to be seen specifically one way. So this is not going to be really pretty in the back. Even things like this guy up here, these guys aren't really pretty to look at from the back. They're rather plain. When we come through here, you have the nice shape to the head, good positioning of the neck. We're not making things really heavy, so you don't have to worry about too much weight. The wax should be able to handle it. If it does get a little tilty, if you've got any of that copper wire left over, we can twine it and then we can insert it in through, but I think we'll be okay. So Egyptians, dominant society, and as they start to get conquered, we come into the Greeks. And again, nice head, really nice looking clavicle area leading into the chest. Really decorative hair here. And I've got a couple of these guys. So boy, we've got this one here. A little bit of a cape. This little strap, he's probably like a charioteer, I would guess. And this is Greek or Roman. He looks a little bit more Roman than Greek in sculpture. Again, really cool flowy hair. Nice twist to it though. Now we're starting to get away from those static, it has to be this way, and a more artistic feel. So a whole line of these ideas. Beautiful heads. We start to get these motions. This guy here is kind of cast down. She's looking over her shoulder. He's gazing up. And we start to get these beautiful plays. As the Romans conquer the Greeks, the Romans are not just completely warlike, they keep Greek sculptors around and they push the level of sculpture. So we get into these beautiful, again, nice heads, good emotion, good feeling of who this could have been. But then you get into these light, airy cloths, which would have been what they wore of the time. So traditional, this to me, we would have to have a big wedge in behind it to hold up. You could do this style where you have a little decorative post underneath. If you think of like a chess piece and the top to the chess piece. And we have these wonderful kind of sculptures. Again, very similar features in these guys. Then we get into this nice gown that she's wearing. And then we start to really push our level. A static pose, Beautiful cloth work, nice twist of the head, very furrowed brow here. Awesome layers of cloth and material. What we're gonna do, oops, push the right button. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take that clay you can put in a microwave. And I really had everything set up this weekend, and then I've moved everything. So this morning I've been looking around and I still don't know where I put the thing of clay. So I'm gonna put a link up for the company that talks about how to use it and how to heat it. You can put it in the microwave, and we've done it at school before. And like anything in the microwave, the microwaves heat from the center out. So it's like a lava cake. You got to be really careful with it because the outside will be squishy, mushy, but the inside will be like lava. So you want to be careful when you're working with it. You can hold it in your hands, and you can just kind of hold it there for a little bit. One of the guys he would bring in, he had a sandwich bag that he used, and it was a clean sandwich bag, and he would throw his clay inside of it, and then he would kind of close the zipper, and then he would put it in his lap, like sit on top of it. And then when he was working, and then he'd pull it out, and after it being on his legs, pressed against the chair, it would get hot enough that it was really pliable and soft. So he would take chunks out, put them in the bag, put them in his lap, and he kept doing that. Don't put it so I did have a guy put it in his pocket and kind of forget it was there. That didn't work out well because it was just clay in his pocket. So it got soft when it was in his pocket. It picked up a bunch of pocket lint. It went through the wash, I think. So we could heat it up and we could pull the stuff out of it, but it was kind of afterwards. So it's going to be super pliable. The bust itself, so I'm not going to give you, it has to be this size. I'm looking for quality made piece. I'm not going to say it has to be you, but you could use you as a model if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be anything as long as it's head, neck, and a little bit of shoulders and it stands up. I would think, depending on my size, I could use BBs as eyeballs. And all you do is you just make a little hole, you put the BB in, and then you can work the clay back up and around the eye. If you go bigger, you could use small marbles as eyes. So the one that I have is the one I was showing you guys. It's on that black piece, and that's what we're going to use as our finish piece. Those little black triangles I gave you, or triangles, those little black squares I gave you, we can heat up the bottom just a little bit. We can either use our finger or you can actually use like a flame, and then you can press it down onto that piece of foam core, and it should melt enough to hold it in place when it cools. So the one that I have, the head is about this big, and I have small marbles, about the size of my pinky finger marbles, and those are the eyes for the little critter I was making. It doesn't have to be a real creature. It could be something from in here. It's going to be completely up to you guys what the bust is. It will include head, neck, and a little bit of torso, as in shoulder, collarbone. If it's completely alien, it's a bug, it's a monster, just make sure we've got that happening in there. Think about, am I going to go static stiff? Am I going to go kind of posy? Try to get an expression for your piece. Don't just make it, try to give it like a little, is it thinking about something? Is it happy? Is it mad? Is it angry? Is it sad? Is it dejected? So we're going to try to put an emotion in with our sculpt. And that's why I think it'll take us 2 weeks. I want to think of complete finishes, hair, face texture, maybe clothing, or maybe something on it. The clay is going to be cool because when I do hair for the clay, I can cut out thin sheets like cheese of this clay, and then I can just warm it with my hands, and then I can fold it around, and that's going to be the layer that my hair builds into. And then I can go in with tools and I can shape and change it. So I would personally think I would do a couple of sketches of like, how is the face going to be shaped? You know, I would try to make an expression in a drawing. Then I would do a front, a side, and maybe like a top or another angled view. Once I have those done, then I'm gonna start taking the clay, I'm gonna start to form it into the shape that I need. We'll work on that, I think, Monday. I'll have clay and I'll have it on the other camera and I'll say, here we go. And you guys can see and ask questions. If you think you need tools, or if you think you need anything besides foam block and paper mache mix, email me or let me know and I will put it together and I'll put your name on it when I go into school. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably give each one of you guys one of those rectangular cardboard boxes that that were left over when we got the big Chromebook order in. And I'm just going to do that so that when we work paper mache, you guys will have the ability to cut the cardboard and use that as extra strength inside your paper mache if you need it. So recap, we are finishing wire trees. We're going to start clay busts. We are going to go to foam, and then we're going to paper mache. There is a board meeting, I think tomorrow. And I think they're going to start talking about like what they're going to do for seniors and graduation stuff. So I'll hopefully know more Monday, or Mr. Geha will put out a letter or a video.
Yeah, I feel like prom is probably definitely a no-go. But
Right, say that again.
I feel like prom is definitely a no-go at this point.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, we're out until May, but if you watch the reports, they're saying it's not going to peak until middle May.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for us to get back. They are going to try to do something because it's kind of a rite of passage graduation, and they want to acknowledge that for you guys. So that's part of the board meeting, I think, that's going to happen, is they're going to start to say, okay, we need to start to have a contingency plan because no one thought this was going to happen this long.
Yeah.
Kyle, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Not really. Did I miss anything before the Egyptian part? Because that's where I came in.
Maybe a little bit. Sarah and I dressed like Egyptians for a while, and then we did an Egyptian dance, and then I think we started.
Okay. Did you do your ritual too?
I did. Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right.
I even brought.
You did bring it. So I couldn't find my green felt to put up, and I was going to have like pyramids behind me today.
Oh man, yeah. It's not the same crown. It's like a jasmine crown.
It is
But
kind of like a jasmine crown, yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's from the desert, so.
I think you should just wear that around just for fun.
It doesn't really fit on my head anymore. It's too small.
We could adjust that. I think we can make it work.
Yeah, maybe we could put some string on
You
it.
should have your parents refer to you as Her Royal Majesty.
Her Royal Majesty. I'll try.
Okay, you let me know how that goes.
Okay.
All right, guys. So if you're good, don't forget, try to take pictures through stages. We're still doing a portfolio for advance because I don't know what they're going to say about exams, but this will cover us. And then when you get trees done, just turn in trees.
Should we have them done by like the end of the week or just before Monday?
Whatever makes you feel good.
Okay.
So if you're done working on it, you're done working on it. If you want to fix it a little, fix it a little. I'm not until either we hit like May 15th or we go back to school. I'm not gonna